Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters as we have now our third round of 8 match, and it is going to be a good one because we have our last non-Korean participating here as he did claim such a good place in the group stage. Now moving forwards, he's going to have to take on one of the best Zergs in the world. Serral goes up against Dark. I'm joined at the desk here by Pig and Maynard. Gentlemen, this one is very, very important for the non-Korean scene to see Serral kind of perform and do well, but is Dark even going to let him?
Serral is a beast. Serral has shown that he has the power to make Nurture look far below him in the early game of Zerg vs. Zerg. He did show weakness later on after that, and he ended up losing those games, but his immense skill in that early game is something which we can't scoff at. That was incredible play by Serral. So honestly, I think if he comes out the way he did in the early game against Nurture, but then just cleans up his mid-game a little bit, I think that's going to be fantastic. Realistically, the big threat that I see coming from Dark here is going to be the fact that he mixed in some great all-ins against Solar, threw out some aggressive play, and if he manages to get under Serral's skin with that, get a few free wins, maybe to kick off the series, then Serral might go down.
It seems to me that the numbers might be playing against Serral here, because Dark currently, in terms of Zerg vs. Zerg, has never lost a recorded series to a foreigner in tournament play. That's a problem, Maynard.
It is a problem for Serral fans and foreigner fans in general. He is the last remaining foreigner. Obviously, the crowd's going to be behind him here in Poland. They'd love to see him go to the Spodek Arena.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, James. You have to tip Dark in this one. I think.
Yeah. Well, if anybody can do it, maybe Serral can do it here, as I think I'm getting word now that our players are indeed ready to go. So the last remaining non-Korean in the tournament here in the round of 8 is going to go up against one of the world's very best Zergs in the world. It's Serral going up against Dark.
After 2 great Terran versus Terrans, our next quarterfinal match is a Zerg versus Zerg. The only non-Korean left in this event goes up against the best Zerg player in the world and SSL champion. He needs your support. It's Serral versus Dark.
As has been said before, the last non-Korean here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
And the last 2 Zergs as well, Tasteless.
That's right.
Only one will be moving on. It's a kind of epic match that we're looking at right here. Will Serral make it into the top 4, something that is just so ridiculously hard to do in this lineup, or will Dark just continue his rampage through the tournament?
Dark is one of these players I always have said, I think of how impeccable his late game is, but already at the Intel Extreme Masters, he's done a fantastic job of doing these super aggro ZvZ builds. Now, that being said, I think Serral is really scary as a ZvZ player. He's already shown that he really understands this matchup on a truly deep level, and is clearly confident playing in front of large audiences, playing in major tournaments, and handling that marathon-style play that really captures what the Intel Extreme Masters is all about. You get all these players from all over the world. They come down and play through 1 week until there's only one remaining, the champion.
Well, one of these guys could end up being that champion. Tasteless. Looks like we are ready, though. Game number 1 has begun on Abyssal Reef.
We will be going into this game momentarily. Those of you online, tell your friends to tune in. We need your energy. This is Dark versus Serral, a best of 5. In the bottom right, the only remaining non-Korean in the red, he is Serral! his opponent in the upper left. In the blue, some say, in fact, many say, he's the best Zerg in the world. He is Dark!
And once again, we have Dark opening up very aggressively. A 12 gas, 12 pool. This is hyper aggressive, and the fact that he's still mining gas tells us he'll be going for a Baneling Nest is all.
A super aggro build coming here from our player Dark. Now, Serral already with a quick hatchery and a spawning pool much later, but still on the way. It's going to be up to Dark to do as much damage possible, possibly fatal damage here in game number 1, because if Serral can manage to outmaneuver Dark during this aggressive attack, Serral will have more workers.
Now, kind of interesting, he runs right under the first Overlord of Serral with those Zerglings. So
I didn't
Serral
expect that.
already, yeah, I thought he'd go around. There's plenty of paths, but Serral now knows. The thing is, Dark doesn't care that he knows. He is just going to rely on the fact that he's gotten such early Zerglings and is going to put that pressure on. Goes after this hatchery at the natural. Not surprised Serral lets that finish. He is going to have to get a lot of defense really soon, though.
So the Lings, instead of going for drones, have decided the way that Dark wants to play this, he wants to come in here and destroy the hatch, balancing the hatchery count out here. But drones have been pulled. Serral coming down right now, trying to chase these Lings away. The hatchery right now at about 1/3 of its health.
Here's the problem, though. 2 Banelings already morphing here for Dark. That is going to put a hard position into Serral, who doesn't have speed yet, doesn't have a spine, and doesn't have a queen. The first one just popping out.
The queen comes out, but is easily surrounded, taken out, as well as the hatchery. The 2 Banelings now moving into the main base. A queen here to block, but the drone does not get the block up over there, and oh, 6 kills.
Huge Baneling goes off right there. Baneling Nest going down for Serral. Now, Serral is not that far behind in workers at the moment. He has a spine as well, so there's still a chance in this game, but Dark has to be happy with what he's gotten done so far.
2 more Banelings being made already. Some severe damage being dealt over here to the economy of Serral. The worker count now for Dark in the lead, 17-13. The Lings now testing the perimeter as the Banelings now rotate around, possibly towards the backside. In fact, from 2 different areas. I don't know if there's anywhere for drones to run.
Okay, well, that's it.
GG!
Wow.
In 3 minutes and 35 seconds, Dark dismantle Serral, at least in game 1, but of course this is a best of 5. I have to say, throughout this Intel Extreme Masters, Dark definitely at least showing us, whether it's he thinks he's just really good at it or that's the way to play ZvZ, you should be going for for a lot of these aggro builds, and you can already see a little bit of tilt coming in here for Serral. That's certainly a frustrating moment.
You know, I think that there might have been a mind game in there as well, that he sent the Lings right under the Overlord. That might make Serral think like, oh, these are maybe slow Lings. Maybe he's not going for a Baneling bust behind this because he pulled his drones down. He used Lings. If you know there's a Baneling nest, that's not how you're trying to counter that necessarily. You might be more inclined to do something like throw down a spine quicker. But very good play by Dark, especially when he got those 2 Banelings into the mineral line at first and killed so many drones.
And I love how he split the 2 sets of Banelings up, one coming from the north, the other side coming from the west there, so that way he could come in, and there really wasn't anywhere for the drones to go.
You can't run.
That was the fatality move there that knocked Serral out of this game. Now that's a frustrating loss. Some of it's a build order, but a lot of it's also just the execution and the decision making. Obviously very good by Dark. It was a short game. Serral did not have that much room to have perfect play, but Dark outmaneuvered him. However, that's rough to lose game 1 like that because Serral hasn't really been able to test the waters in that late game play that we've seen a lot of from Dark. So this is an uncomfortable moment, but it's not over yet. Going into game number 2. In the bottom right, in the red, make some noise for Serral! And in the bottom left, in the blue from South Korea with a 1-0 lead right now, he is Dark!
Such a solid first game out of Dark, rushing very, very quickly. Second game, looks like Serral wants to play it pretty safe. This isn't a super fast pool, but it is gas and pool before that hatchery, so that'll make him, you know, like for instance, if Dark had done the same build again, this would be a fine counter to it. But instead, Dark just going ahead and getting a hatchery first.
So Dark completely shifting gears here. And of course, this is a very solid way to play a best of 5. You can't just do the same build over and over and over and expect to come out on top, especially if you're somewhat evenly matched. So giving that build in game 1, that does, of course, put some pressure on Serral to try to react. And now this time, Dark going in a completely different direction, really much more focusing on econ here. However, that being said, I think Serral's not going to be behind, really. These builds are at least close enough down the middle that it's going to come out fine.
Yeah, like maybe Dark has just a slight advantage on economy here, but you know, that's fine. They will probably end up in the same spot unless Serral decides to go a little bit crazy with this, considering you will have much quicker speed. But again, not too big a deal.
As this game goes on, we'll have to see if we end up with Dark and Serral in a super late game match, because I actually think Serral, out of all, I guess Nurchio's up there with this as well, but in ZvZ, all the non-Koreans, I feel that Serral looks really solid, really able to hold his own against basically anyone. And if he were to be able to beat Dark in a long and drawn-out tech-heavy game, that would be incredible.
Yeah, that would really mean a lot to his career, to be honest. He doesn't really have any of these huge victories yet that you'd love to see out of an up-and-coming player such as Serral, but he's very young, has a long career ahead of him, no doubt, and a lot of skill to back that up. So, you know, I'm just hoping that he can put up a good fight against Dark here, because when Dark gets towards the end of tournaments, he just dispatches people with ruthless efficiency.
We have 2 links hitting up here. They are now spotted by Dark. And it looks like with really good micro, Dark already taking out 1 link. That's going to force the other Zergling on the run. Dark claiming his side of the map pretty handily. Third hatchery now going down here for Serral. We're still waiting to see if there's going to be any third hatch coming here from Dark for the time. Oh, yes, there will be. That question has been answered. In the meantime, we have what look, at least for now, to be defensive banelings. Although, as I say that, we do have 10 more links. Now 12 more links coming here from Dark.
Yeah, it looks like Dark actually wants to get aggressive right away. There's a decent amount of lings in the middle by Serral, so he'll probably see this before it gets out of hand and be able to react to it. Starts to poke into this hatchery at the third base, but Dark has plenty of reinforcements to hold on.
As you can see now, still about 8 more lings hatching over here as he's going to try to put the pressure. Now, if Dark can manage to force a cancel here on the hatchery for Serral, that's going to be hugely problematic and really hiccup Serral's progression into the mid-game here. Right now, Serral's still making drones.
A flank of banelings here coming out from Dark. Going to be able to get those as well. Wow, blowing up some of these banelings. Dark very much on top of everything, morphing plenty of banelings so far.
And coming in here to spot, he actually might be going for the jugular instead of even trying to deny that hatch. As he comes forward, the drones are now retreating.
Doesn't hit quite as many as he would like right there. More and more speedlings, though, coming by. Serral does have a few banes that are hatching now, so maybe he can get some good connections, but already losing so many drones.
We see the links now coming up, more banelings spreading out. The drone's still vulnerable, now being evacuated, and in another good detonation, 11 drones have been killed.
Oh man, Dark really starting to take an advantage right here, killing 15 drones so far. Still rallying over lings, making a roach warren, while Serral, oh GG is called. And Dark is just running rampant over this series.
I feel like I'm watching a speed run of the Intel Extreme Masters here with this series. Have you heard of something called a layer artosis? I've read about it in a book, but I've never seen one.
I've heard of liars, Tasteless, and that's what you seem like right now, because as far as I can tell, this game is all about lings and banes.
I can't believe, like, how incredibly brutal this series has been so far. And I'll tell you something, some psychology is at play here as well. The fact that Serral has lost twice.
Yes.
And I believe 2 games that were together under 10 minutes, probably. I think probably even possibly under 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I have to check on
definitely,
that.
like that. This was like less than 8 minutes.
I think so. So that doesn't feel good. I mean, Serral is deep in this. He's been basically getting mentally prepared all day. And now we're in a situation where he has to pull it together and come back 3-0 from here.
Yeah, it's so tough. He even looked really rattled there in the booth, to be honest, whereas Dark is just leaning back. This is really reminiscent of what he did to a Laser in the round of 4 at BlizzCon. Like, Dark just mangled him in 3 straight, and both the Laser and Serral are known for having extremely good Zerg versus Zerg, but I guess, you know, when you're playing against the god of your race, the guy that you watch all his games and look up to and learn from, things can go wrong pretty fast.
You know, it says a lot because ZvZ early game, although the builds may look the same, the tactics and execution are almost always different. Every game is unique, and it really shows you how comfortable Dark is in basically any given situation. I wouldn't be surprised if Dark goes for aggro again here, almost as an intimidation play.
Definitely could, Tasteless. The next map going to be Proxima Station. Oftentimes a very greedy map, but we'll see. Aggression can be good because of that.
In the upper right, in the red, he needs your support. He is Serral! And his opponent down here in the blue, in the bottom left from South Korea, he is Dark!
Both of these players not rushing each other to begin with, just opening up with hatchery first.
That being said, Dark still could do something aggressive a little bit later on.
Yeah,
Not hard to do that in this matchup. This is a matchup that tends to encourage the Zerg players to play a little bit more economically, trying to get a few extra bases, trying to attack, but I don't really want to predict too much here for Dark because this guy is the Zerg daddy.
Yeah, no,
At this point in time, he's really showing us how you can bend the rules of Zerg.
Well, there is a little difference in their play. Serral taking the front natural and Dark taking the back natural. Once you do have that front natural completely secured, you're like really safe on 3 bases. There's not very much that they can do to actually break you. It's a tiny little choke. Really kind of gross to try to attack in there, especially with Zerglings. So kind of interesting that Serral goes for that. Of course, it's closer to your opponents as well.
Considering how the last 2 games went, I totally agree, Artosis. Of course, with Serral securing the front base, assuming that he can hold off any rush there, you basically get that 3rd base in the upper right, in the back. You get that for free.
So nothing too crazy going on, just getting the speed upgrades, a couple queens. Completely mirrored builds at the moment, but what do you think? Will we see Dark attack first or Serral?
At this point in time, I'm guessing Dark, but
I think you're right.
You know, there is occasionally a rule where if you're beating them so badly in a series, you don't even need to try to go for macro because it's so stressful and off-putting and in some ways humiliating to lose very, very quickly.
Yeah.
In a game, one thing that StarCraft prides itself on is it can be a short game, but it can be a really long game. And generally when you have 2 players, of course, every once in a while there's a short game here or there, but usually you get to see people exhibit really solid mid-game and late game.
Yeah.
But if you beat somebody in what seems like record-setting fashion, I would say take that to your advantage and start getting into his face again because he might just fall apart.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with you there. I would love to see Dark turn on the aggression, but it looks like it could be Serral here. He's going for his 3rd hatchery in the back, but also making a lot of Zerglings. So looks like he wants to push into this 3rd base that hasn't been secured yet for Dark. Dark does start a bunch of his own Zerglings though. Banelings on both sides. Looks like this is going to turn into quite a micro battle here.
So in a game that's starting to look a little bit different from the last 2, at least as far as the directions the 2 players were going in, let's see how he handles this time around. By the way, Dark does scout that 3rd base. Important to know the timing to when that hatchery is going to finish. We do have Serral now coming in with these Banelings, already taking one of them out right now. Banelings coming forward to try to zone back these Lings.
Okay, good micro so far by Serral. Really not sacrificing more than a couple Lings per Bane. Great save there by Dark, though. Serral begins to push forward with these 2 Banelings.
The Lings now coming down. Dark does retreat onto the high ground. There are some Lings and Banelings, but not quite enough to really start going ham on the hatchery here. And you can see here, Dark pushing those banelings forward and actually denies that last baneling.
Very good micro coming out of Dark here to push Serral back for the time being. Serral does have some more lings on the way, but I feel like Dark may have already held this.
I gotta say, he almost made it look easy, but with brilliant control, he just tactically outmaneuvers Dark no matter what Dark has, Serral has in store for him. Serral's going to continue on with the aggression, but as every minute passes here, Dark should be able to stabilize more and more as long as he doesn't make any blunders with his lings or lose too many drones.
All right, some more Banes pop out. Nice explosion there by that single Baneling. Still Dark pushing forward, sends a Ling out to try to assassinate, but Serral saves it. Very nice micro there by the Finnish Zerg.
Roach Warren on the way now for Serral. We're beginning to get into more complex tech here. Layers on the way here too. Although so far, I think we can all agree that Dark has just had much better control in this entire series.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty fantastic so far from him, but Serral still trying to make something happen, sends in some Lings, does assassinate a Baneling there, that's nice. But I think this phase of the game is pretty much done.
It seems like things should be slowing down, at least for a little bit here. Both players getting the +1 range attack, continuing to drone up and try to spread their overlords around as much as they can so they can monitor movements inside the center of the map.
Dark still microing out on the map right now. And, you know, these are just the kind of little things that the pro gamers are doing with their leftover speed. You know, it's like, oh, can I gain a little value here, a little value there? But overall, it's not a huge deal in which way it's going. They're pretty much even as far as economy goes. As you can see, the upgrades are pretty close as well, and that's really where the game is headed towards.
That's right. And now this is going to be a big challenge here for Serral, because Dark seems to know how deep the rabbit hole goes in ZvZ, late game tech, which can become incredibly complex. A lot of positional plays, a lot of different phases you enter into. That is a very cute location to morph that, by the way.
Yeah.
Can we just highlight that?
You can barely see that right there.
We've seen this used more and more in StarCraft II, is even though it might show up as a blip on the minimap, sometimes you do rely on just what you see on the screen, indicators here and there, and that could be something you end up missing.
Definitely could be. Overseer going through Dark space at the moment. Not going to find a whole lot, to be honest. There's not a Spire or Hydralisk Den, anything like that. But Serral, in the meantime, sticking to that European metagame of Zerg vs. Zerg, is going for a rather fast infestation pit. This is something Korean Zergs really haven't encountered. It's just this style of play, getting the quick infestation pit alongside Roaches and Ravagers, doesn't exist over there at the moment.
Yeah, they tend to play kind of a more basic game with this a little bit more of trying to outmuscle the opponent in this game, where it seems like a lot of the European Zergs do want to go for more of a tactical approach, where if they get a good play off, then they really crush through. Now, with Dark not most likely having a ton of experience compared to somebody like Serral with this, I'm curious to see how he handles it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm sure he's seen it a little bit this tournament, probably has put some thought into it and what he might do if he plays against it. But again, you see the difference in styles here. Serral going for that more defensive type of tech in the Infestor, also takes the 4th base. It's easier to defend. Dark, in the meantime, he's getting burrow and burrow movement, so he can start massive roach harassment and taking the gold base, which is wide open for attack.
And this is why I do wonder if perhaps Dark's approach is just better in this sense. If Dark has more raw strength on the map, he can get the gold base first, and then it just seems like strategically Serral might be at a disadvantage, because once you can get all that income from the gold base, then you can even make some mistakes and still be fine for the most part.
Yeah, possibly. Now look at this. Serral's actually checking these rocks, wondering what is going on exactly. Brings the rest of his army over as well. Does not want to lose his 4th base right now.
As you can see, the rocks have been torn down. Will Dark do a full-on engage, or is he just opening that up for options later on? Now it seems that Dark... Oh, excuse me. Is Dark actually going to go for it?
Oh, he might. He has Tunnelin Claws now, so we actually have a group of roaches underground moving the other direction.
I think Serral's aware. This is a 2-pronged attack.
Ooh, he does have Fungals, though, as well as Corrosive Bile. This is a fake, though. Dark faking attacking that so he can burrow movement into the natural and main base.
So he gets 2 roaches in over there. He's splitting them up everywhere. Meanwhile, a huge attack coming down here. Corrosive Biles have been fired off. Hitting even one Infestor, and a second one goes down the Queen, too, as Dark is hitting from so many locations at once.
That was pretty awesome, taking down both Infestors for Dark. Continue to harass around the map right now as Roaches in every single base of Serral. Serral trying to hold on with his main army here at the 4th.
He is hitting in so many spots. I'm not sure that Serral's going to be able to stabilize. Both players maxing out the hatchery at roughly half health. Coming in again, and Serral has to defend this location. He could go for the snipe. The hatchery does not go down.
He did it!
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Thought I had that timed out, guys. Sorry. So, he takes the hatchery out. That puts Serral on 3 bases with Dark on 4 and still mining from the gold.
24 drones have fallen. Dark is just dismantling Serral at the moment, but Serral still has a really solid army. So we'll see if he can come back. Yes, he's down in drones, but as they reach maxes, what that means is he actually has a bigger army than Dark.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Note that after Dark's done the damage with his main army, he pulls back to re-amass everything and try to wait and see, will Serral try to expand and reclaim that? Does Serral try to go for some kind of a counterattack? He just has to get the next few reads, and as long as Dark executes this really, it makes, I guess, all the right choices from here on out, he should be in good shape. This is going to be a real uphill battle here for Serral.
Yeah, I think you're right, but this is the time to attack, I would say. The fact that he has a little bit more army supply, a little bit more tech, might give him the advantage he needs to maybe take a base down or something. So we do see him kind of posturing out in front of his 3rd base. Dark kind of patrolling back and forth. He is going for a lurker den, which counters all these units fantastically, but it'll be a while before he has any lurkers out.
He has the Overseers right-clicked on the army, and he's actually sneaking down here with some Roaches. Now, really, by drawing attention over here, he might, okay, I was going to say he might let the hatchery finish to get more drone kills there, but it looks like he just wants to keep the momentum going strong for the time being, taking out these drones. I don't see an Overseer here. These Roaches may very well escape.
I love the burrow movement that he's using right now. It's doing such a fantastic job. Dark just continually raining down these corrosive biles as well, buying time to get his lurkers out.
Yeah, this is definitely a good play here. It seems like Dark just knows every single fork in the big build order tree and strategy tree in ZvZ. I don't even think Serral's actually like a bad player doing a bad job or anything. I think this is really just Dark showing how strong he is.
Yeah, that truly is what it is. The fact that behind all of this, he's getting lurkers as well. Strategically, this is brilliant. If he has lurkers at home, even if he loses a huge chunk of his army, you're not going to break that with Roach Tech.
Okay, we have some corrosive biles coming in here and taking out a big chunk of Roaches as Serral beginning to reassert some dominance here on the map, forcing Dark onto his side of the turf.
Yeah, these are the moves that he is actually looking for. Fungals plus corrosive are amazing. Here we go. Another fungal goes down. Another fungal as well, and the corrosives are shot out. Huge value there for Serral.
We see Dark beginning to remax over here. A lot more Roaches on the way. And now Serral decides to back up. Keep in mind, though, guys, Dark is still mining off the gold base. If we look at the minerals here, it's 1.3K here for Serral. It's nearly 4K here for Dark, and both of them roughly on the same amount of gas. So Dark is able to possibly dive in on top, hit hard, and then remake his entire army.
Oh, man, another great fungal goes down, but those lurkers are making it so that Serral can't do much more than cast these spells. The Roaches can't get anywhere near the lurkers because they'll just all die.
Yeah, the lurkers really just take a lot of the oxygen out of Serral's play to try to regain ground here during this game.
Okay, some scouting going down by Serral. Both players going towards Hive. Dark throwing up a Spire as well. Maybe wants to go into Broodlord tech, which is going to counter ground fantastically. But what is Serral going for here with his Hive?
We're going to have to see in just a minute here. For the time being, Dark is continuing to mount pressure over here, waiting for one misstep here from Serral to possibly dive in. And if not do that, at least set up for a really solid counterattack. Oh, he actually should have been in front of those lurkers. You can get there close enough with Ravagers to actually start to poke them and damage them. And of course, anytime you get a good Ravager corrosive bile, you're doing damage for free. Yeah, a lot of times. It's not like you have to trade in Roach versus Roach, for instance.
Yeah, that was a really nice move right there. If he can continue to bomb them a little bit, he can eliminate them. Now, still Serral kind of going back and forth. He has his Hive up, but we don't see any tech out of it quite yet. I'd love to see where he wants to go with that, though.
Yeah, we're in an odd spot here since neither player can really produce. They're at the max limit of units they can make this game. And hold up, that's going to change here for Dark. A big amount of kills taken out there. Dark are immediately beginning to make some more Hydras. Looks like he wants to try to go to an even higher tech tree.
Yeah, just reinforcing his army with more powerful units all over the place, getting 3/3 upgrades as well. Serral is getting +2 carapace, but still just staying on this lower tech.
He's coming out now, driving back all of these roaches. You can see Dark just trying to maneuver in here, sending roaches now over to the side. Serral now pulling back.
Dark trying to maneuver around these roaches that are following him. Burrow movement going forward, but of course that patrolling overseer will see him. Dark pulls back.
Dark decides now head over here. He might try to regroup, pushing in through the front. There is a large number of roaches here. Terry attacking these rocks on Dark side of the match. That expansion could be vulnerable, and in fact, these roaches going to go around. He does take a peek. He identifies what's happening.
Oh yeah, he does have Hydras coming up to defend this expansion for the time being. Greater Spire on the way. Some great fungals, and look at that. Corrosive Biles, once again, he's starting to knock out some of these lurkers.
Right now, Dark coming in here to chase back Serral, who's trying to get some kind of foothold on the left side of the map. Meanwhile, a big counterattack going into the main.
Oh.
We don't see anything here to defend. All the critical tech is exposed.
This is a big deal from Dark, attacking up right now, starting to target the Hive a bit, taking out the Queen, and in fact the Hydralisk Den as well.
And the Hydra Den goes back down, canceling the upgrade. A beautiful denial there. Obviously, Serral will be able to clean this up, but talk about a big hiccup there in the progress, in the tech there for Serral. That's going to eliminate, at least for the time being, a lot of options that he could have had to try to engineer a comeback.
Yeah, this is really wild right now for Serral. He's reproduced a lot of roaches. He's remaking this Hydralisk Den, but he's about to be down 2 upgrades. And like Dark just continues to add on static D at home, get upgrades, make his army more technical. He has so many Hydras here now.
The Hydra's now coming in. Serral cannot afford to lose this base. He may be getting there too late. And the hatchery does go down again. Now forcing Serral will probably be able to force Dark back. Or maybe not, actually. With these lurkers over here, look at this. He could actually just stay in range, and then there's really nothing that Serral can do to expand. And just to the just above this screen, the other expansion can't be taken because roaches are now going to be counterattacking here in the main.
Yeah, just trying to keep Serral busy right now. Dark is sitting pretty on 5 bases, one of which is gold. So his economy is just out of control. But truthfully, both sides have huge banks, and because of how many drones have been killed, Serral's army is bigger.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. However, I don't know what he can really do with this army at this point in time to do that much more damage. You're right, it's 29 workers to 57, and with both players essentially maxed out, that would definitely lend it to him having a bigger army. However, I think there are so many positional disadvantages here. I don't know if size really matters.
Oh my god, he just yanked in an Infestor, which bungled into a mass Corrosive Biles. Serral pushing forward. He's going to take out all of these lurkers and most of Dark's army.
23 more roaches and 10 more Hydras in production here for Dark. But for this small window of time, Serral has a bigger army. Does he advance or does he stay back and just try to crawl over to that gold base and maybe try stabilizing in this game?
He is taking the gold base. Will he be able to actually stabilize, though? This is the problem. His Infestor count is gone. Yeah, he doesn't have a single Infestor left over. He has a few Hydras, a few Ravagers and everything, but Dark's bank is remaxed him very, very quickly here, and he'll quickly take down the gold as well.
Okay, an easy denial there by Dark. Once again, Serral getting further and further boxed in as the resources back at home are dwindling. A small counterattack here by Serral, but will this do anything to put a dent in the armor of Dark? I don't think so.
Okay, some Corrosive Biles being popped out as Dark comes in with a huge concave against Serral. Serral trying to hold on for his life in this tournament. Biles being thrown down. Great splits here by Dark, dodging most of them. A bunch of Infestors in the back, but not enough. GG! And Dark is our winner, 3-0.
Unbelievable play there by Dark. This guy truly is the best Zerg vs. Zerg player in the world. I think Serral is a very tough player to go up against, but you can just see the understanding from the start of the game all the way to the end. Dark knows how to stay on top.
Yeah, it was a very well-played game. I loved some of his transitions, how he got up into into lurkers and all that. Like, it was just so well done. There was never a point where I felt like Serral could actually kill him. Even the times where he took good fights against Dark.
Yeah.
Dark had the right type of army units at home, the right level of tech and upgrades, that it always felt like he was in control.
Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, more StarCraft II action here at the Intel Extreme Masters.